Okay, I just wanted to explain this thunderclap for www.rbestudios.com, and it is a overwhelming success. We are at 167% of the goal. We reached it very quickly within about a day or two, and we still have 7 days left. I just put that buffer just to give ourselves time to finish this website, and it looks like it's going to go out to over 200,000 people by the time this thing ends. So that's great. So keep it going. Thank you everybody for the support. Keep promoting this. I'll put the link below this and then just post that around, or you can embed it or invite friends. But basically, a quick explanation. Thunderclap is similar to how Kickstarter is for money, but this is for advertising, marketing, social reach. So basically, instead of adding money like you would in Kickstarter, you come here to this page and add your Twitter account, your Facebook account, or your Tumblr, and all of your friends or fans will get the message on Sunday at 1800 UTC. So that's the premise of a thunderclap, to hit everything at the same time and therefore have a higher potential for going viral and getting the message, one consistent message out there. So anyway, again, thank you for the help. Let's keep this going, and in 7 days the website will hit 200,000 people, so definitely going to be working on it some more. And special thing for you guys watching, for the community, this site is open actually now. I have about 70% of the pages done. Some of them are locked, some of them are covered with a coming soon sign, but you can go visit it right now. And this is a quick look at it. I'll give you a couple explanations. The home page, plan, about. Plan just goes into what the heck we're doing. The about explains it. The projects tab, you can click straight on the projects tab itself, and nice little tab explaining we finished the timeline 3D, which I'm about to show you in a second. The next project we're working on is seminar upgrade. That is this seminar, and I want to upgrade it to a much higher quality show, using green screen, using virtual news sets, all kinds of different things, but we need some help to do that. And that's the second idea for this website, is a fundraising platform, and I'll go straight to that. We can do all of our fundraising right here on this site using PayPal, and we can save a heck of a lot of money in fees. PayPal has by far the lowest overall fees, 2.9 to 3.9%, as compared to 8 to 10% for Kickstarter. And the obvious things, Kickstarter has much more visibility, but using the thunderclap, this page will have a lot of visibility also. So we're kind of circumventing paying a big company all kinds of fees by doing it this way. And let me show you the timeline. This is open for you guys to come and see. The timeline is finished. It is 100% here. This is the widget they give you, and you can go through here, and there's even videos embedded into this widget. I think there's something like 76 slides. You can download the PDF. I put it here so you can download the PowerPoint and download the Keynote. You can take this and use it for your own presentations, break it up, use specific parts of it. Like I said, 76 slides. You don't necessarily need to be presenting that large of a presentation, but I would take 10 or 20 slides of it and make your presentations off it. Hopefully you guys will get some use out of it. This is the embedded presentation that automatically plays, and there's even a video that we rendered out of the project. We're going to keep improving it a couple more times. I might voice over this video here, and let's see if he'll let me do it.
If you like the
there we go. So this one even has the embedded videos into it. So go through this timeline. It's very informative, and as it says on the first slide, work directly with Jacques and Roxanne on this timeline. Goes through all of Jacques' life, the life of the Venus Project so far, the life of TVP Global so far, and our future projections. So hope you guys enjoy that also. What else I got for you? This resources tab, this is where we have a lot of work to do. But to give you a kind of an idea of what this is for, it's to give you a one-stop shop to find all the graphics, all the video, all the audio that we've been working on through the years. So one place to go to. So if you want to go to graphics, these are all the photos. You can go into them and download them all. You can go into the Minus accounts and grab them all. So one place to find all that. And then after you have all the graphics, video, audio, I want to help you and everybody in the community to be able to create high-level graphics, create video, create audio, and create 3D models. So these are pages I'm going to be working on. I'm hopefully going to be working with the media team so we can get very, very detailed information there of how they want work to be, the workflows and the quality levels necessary. And then you can even submit media. But this is going to be fairly restricted as it must follow the requirements of each of the teams. So one-stop shop for all that. There will be statistics of basically how our Facebook's doing, how our YouTube's doing, surveys. I'll be working on these in the near future, and profiles of our community, if anybody is willing to put their profile there. And one last thing before I close this part of it is this is an example of how I wanted to build this page. And basically, this one is to give you the whole breakdown of doing a lecture or presentation. So anybody having any issues, any questions about this, hopefully this page will be able to answer. And it goes into the definitions, the recommendations. You can use Google Presentation, PowerPoint, Keynote, Presentation, and more. These link you straight to those websites. And the more is, I believe it's like 20 or more recommended programs that are free to use with to give presentations. And Vixie actually has a document here that goes into much more detail that you can download or look at. 101, 201, 301 level of presenting, and then some examples. Sue's presentation at TEDx event, Andrew's presentation at Z-Day 2011, and the greatest talk of Jacques Fresco that I found on YouTube. So you can find many resources on this page and through YouTube of how to do a presentation or lecture, and you can even rate these. Rate this presentation, give us some feedback of how these guys are doing, and get some details on it. So anyway, that's the point of the resources, is to provide resources to the community so we can start getting some things done. Enjoy the site, www.rbestudios.com, and there'll be more to come. And remember to help out with the Thunderclap campaign. All right, thanks a lot.
I think we'll come back to that in a second. We just got one last FAQ to go over, which I think leads on nicely from that last question, which is, what are the safeguards against the abuse of power within a resource-based economy? So the first sentence of the answer to this FAQ, I think, will kick us off nicely, is, in a resource-based economy, we surpass the need for money, which is the basis for most corruption.
I'll just say in one word, and then I'll let you guys chime in, so I'm not talking forever. Redundancy. Okay, I'm done.
Sure, please explain.
No, I was trying not to be talkative. Well, there's many aspects, but one of the aspects is redundancy. And today, in today's world, the word redundant is actually seen as a negative, because we have limited resources and limited money and limited funds. So when it comes to a company and being redundant is a bad thing. So it means that they're wasting money on their boards or on their money sheets, whatever. So redundancy in a resource-based economy means that you wouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. For example, if you're in a jet airplane, there wouldn't be just 2 engines, because if one of them goes out, you're flying down and you crash. There would be 4 engines, and that occurs sometimes today, where only 2 of the engines are needed. The other 2 are reserve engines, and therefore you have I believe that would be a 50%, no, it's a 100% redundancy. So anyway, imagine that system, imagine that plane of the future. We are efficiently making engines so well, and planes so well, that we have 6 engines on it. 6, that's craziness, right? But it might become that efficient to where that jet only needs 2 engines. We have 2 redundant backup systems. That jet is likely to not crash. 99.99% chance of not crashing. Same thing goes with computers. If you have everything centralized in a network across the world where everybody has access to all information, there will be backup centers. So if power goes down to that, there will be a backup center. But with the efficiencies we project, you could have a backup center to a backup center to a backup center. So if humans go crazy for some reason, which people have these ideas in their mind, and they just start rioting and going, we're going to break the computers, rah! Like they would do that because these computers are planting crops that they eat eventually, so I don't know why the heck anybody would ever do that. And the people would be aware that that's what they're doing. That there would be a backup system that would kick on, there would be no delay, these types of things. So redundancy and how things are gone about is fine. It's like a stoplight. You ever run into a problem where the stoplight goes out in an intersection, everybody's stopped, and everything is fucked? Why is that? It's because there's not a redundant system there. It's a failure, and the traffic stops. There's four-way traffic stopping and waiting on each other, and then eventually a cop pulls up and he gets out of his car and he starts waving people across. That's kind of a shitty redundancy. Whereas we would have installed systems to where that would never occur. There would be a redundant light system there that would direct traffic. In fact, there likely wouldn't be traffic at all. So transportation systems would be redundant to a point where it's not wasting too many resources on being redundant. There wouldn't not be a need for 10 redundant systems, but 3 to 4 to 5 in some cases might be a smart way to do it. Okay, so that's my explanation on redundancy.
And I think the level of redundancy would be kind of based on the consequences of a failure. So say if you have a weather recognition system that's looking for certain type of cloud formation for, I don't know, tornadoes in Tornado Valley in America, or whatever, there would be multiple systems there to look up for that. And the more redundancy would be there because it's more of that's a kind of big destructive force. But obviously the traffic light system would still have redundancies. You're talking about redundancies across all the systems that would govern the entire world. The agriculture you mentioned and global transport and all that kind of stuff would all have redundancies built into this automated network.
Okay, back to the question as well. I'd like to kind of point out the way I think about it is well, what are the safeguards against the abuse of power? So you've got to look at the incentive for an abuse of power, and actually also the position of power that people would be in a resource-based economy. So, I mean, we've already discussed there are people literally making decisions based on their values and prejudice in a resource-based economy. Decisions are arrived at, and it's a community thing, it's a global thing. It's not one person kind of it's a team of the best people who are equipped for that job and the best materials and resources and machines that are available for that job also working on that. So I mean, in terms of position of power, there's very, very few positions of power which would be able to incite significant kind of bias change in a resource-based economy. And another major point is incentive. So, like, I mean, what is it? Say I'm someone who wants to abuse my power in a resource-based economy. Say I have power of, I don't know, influence. What is it that I want? I mean, I have any material good that I want. I can get. Okay. I have resources provided for me. All terms of media. I can travel all around the world for free. I could be in Beijing in 6 hours. What is it that what is my incentive for power? Because I mean, it's a misconception that human beings or any animals for that matter seek power. I mean, sure, seeking power seems to be when you kind of study behavior of animals in primitive societies, and you study it, and you see there are trends of animals trying to gain power. But I mean, you've got to look at the society always when you're studying behavior. You've got to look at the environment, and it appears in these cases that these people are insecure. I mean, that they're seeking power because they don't have access to resources, or it could be a mental resource such as security or love, well-being, self, what do you call it? Self-confidence, that kind of thing. So I don't see an incentive in a resource-based economy to seek power besides, say, mastery. Like if I want to master an instrument, I suppose that would give me power because it would give me the ability to play the instrument well and achieve the goals that I want. So I mean, the question itself, if you look at it semantically, you break it up, instances of power. It's like that can be a very small thing, such as being good at an instrument, or a large thing, such as in the case of today, when we have people making decisions which affect billions of other people. So yeah, I hope I didn't go into too much. I hope I didn't go on too much of a tangent then.
That's right. So where I see so-called power being within a resource-based economy is in the development of new technologies which will be implemented within the world as one of the main kind of places of how people could affect change. But this would only go through with the use of the scientific method. An important part of the scientific method is peer review by competent people. So if you make up this whole experiment which doesn't work and you create this new system, no fault of your own, it's not going to go in and abuse other people, and it's going to be tested and thoroughly checked before you put in. And the positives and the negatives of any change to society would be looked at in detail before it gets implemented. And it will be looked at by a group of people, probably a very wide group of people. And the information will be made available to all people who are interested.
And also, people's values will be aligned to scientific principles. So what I mean by that is, I presume that if someone were to invent something and it were to, say, fail for whatever reason, in the example you give, that person wouldn't feel an egotistical need to perpetuate that invention, which obviously has its flaws, because, well, that would be, blatantly illogical. So I mean, it's also an effect of the value system and how that would change people's behavior with regards to attempting to obtain power and that.
Yeah, it's also all these regarding failed so-called failed experiments. This is a problem that exists because of the monetary system as it is right now. That's why people really don't want to fail at anything they do, because they've had to have gotten possibly millions for the project, and if it's not working, then it's likely that they're going to get their funding cut, and things like that. And also, if they don't succeed, next time they will apply for some sort of grant or do an experiment. People will look at them personally as being the reason that something failed before, and might that will perpetuate kind of into the future that they will not get a grant for doing something. So you have all these mechanisms inside this culture that actually prevent people from being honest and saying, what, this doesn't work. We've proved that it doesn't work. Because that's also a good thing. You've proved that something doesn't work, so all this millions of people around the world don't have to do this experiment again, because we know that it doesn't work, and that's kind of the problem that goes around. But to go back to the question of how the power is going to be, or where the power is going to be, and how it's going to be controlled. To not get this sort of aberrant behavior in people trying to get more power is also decentralization of a lot of the things that are very relevant to people's survival, like energy, like food, like shelters and whatnot. This will all be very much more local than it is right now. If you have your food supply is dependent on shipping it from China and from Spain halfway across the world, and you're dependent on that, and if something goes wrong, you're going to starve. Whereas if you grow things locally, then you're a lot less dependent, and also within that community, it's a lot less likely that someone will come over and sabotage something because it's basically doing it to himself. So there's going to be very little incentive to do that. And same goes with energy and all the other resources that are around there. So, and for the computer grid, there's not going to be just one place, one master computer in one area that is going to control everything. There's going to be interconnected systems throughout the world. It's not like you go and, I don't know, some terrorist destroys a building and everything shuts down and things like that. So there's going to be redundancy in that as well, just like Sean said.
Great. So I think we're kind of getting close to our time limit. I think we're actually running over a bit, but we can cut down. I think we should go on to maybe the last section, unless anyone has anything to add to what we've just been talking about.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So we touched on this a little bit earlier when we were talking about like revolution and people having the energy there to go and protest in the streets. And the thing that the Venus Project advocates is a more efficient use of people's energies and to put it into a more practical purposes to create real solutions rather than just complain about the current situation. So the question really is, what can people do to get involved with the Venus Project?
Well, I would just start off by saying this in regards to the last topic. It is very easy to join protests on the street, and it's very easy to throw granite rocks. It's very easy to break windows. There isn't much prerequisites or much study to be done to do that. So people, everyone out there has the ability to do that. As soon as you start to talk about solving problems, there's a lot less people that have the tools to really do that. So I would say that education is definitely one of the paramount things that we have to work on, because otherwise there's just not going to be enough people that are going to be talking about solutions and they're going to be working on these solutions. But we will have a lot of people that will be hungry and don't have their houses and whatnot, and they will be out there throwing rocks and whatnot. So this is definitely one of the most the most important thing, I feel.
Education with reference to educating yourself so that you're more adequate to talk about these things to other people, and then obviously using that to talk about them to other people to spread it in community, wherever that may be, locally, internationally, etc. So, I mean, the way I look at it with regards to activism, I know that it's going to take me like a few more years at least to get kind of a fundamental knowledge and a fundamental basis and confidence talking about everything involved with a resource-based economy. In the Venus Project are two people, and then the way I see it, basically I'm just progressing to be that person who can handle that. So, I've got a kind of image in my head of who I need to be, what the kind of man I need to be able to achieve my goals, and I'm just working towards that. It's not as easy as, say, trying to get to a certain job, because it's you educate yourself in that, you go to university, and then you start off low and you build your way up with promotions. But I mean, like, helping to institute a resource-based economy, global change the world. It doesn't seem to me that there's any kind of clear-cut plan for that. So, I mean, the best thing I could say would be education is crucial, and then that opens more doors, and hopefully through education you can answer that question yourself more relevantly and in the future, and based on your expertise.
Yeah, it's I would say that it's a longer process than just learning to do something. A lot of people out there are going, okay, I want to help. Just tell me what to do. As if there is one task that is going to be enough for getting this idea out there. It's not, it's just something that it's hard to accept for people that first, we have to educate ourselves before we start talking about these things, and that's kind of that's one of the first, let's say, deterrents from a lot of people being active, because they think, or they are looking for a solution that is, do this and tomorrow everything's going to be okay. And it's not like that, It's the problems, like Tom said, are so huge, so global, so so much, touching so many topics, that it's just impossible and not realistic to assume that you're gonna just, I'm gonna do this and everything will change. It's not like that.
Yeah, a relatively uneducated person, which we all are, and in a sense, is not going to do much to actually influence or change the world. Like you said, the maximum of some people's capabilities are throwing rocks and writing a sign. And what we would like to do is redirect those people into them becoming qualified or more capable in certain areas. And whether it be online meetings, whether it be education, some sort of computer graphics, some sort of engineering, bridge building, systems design, these types of things, we're not going to fix this world with uneducated people. So now it could be a crack on us to say, we're being elitist and all that. No, it's necessary, especially, and it's not an unreasonable request or necessity, because there are so many free methodologies to do this online and in your local area, via library, via community groups on different topics. Yeah, right there, Sasha. You look like you're breaking your neck agreeing with me. But we absolutely need people, and so it's a little bit more of a long-term plan. Instead of a 5-minute plan, you run outside and you throw a rock. This is a terrible example we're using, by the way, because people are not doing that. Or just being frustrated and yelling at people, which is another short-term, not solution. But a more long-term approach would be to become capable in a certain area. For example, the Venus Project itself needs people capable of organizing groups in their area to be educating themselves and others, and to be what I call translating the Venus Project and the resource-based economy information, and other relevant information, by the way, into their local culture. So what I mean, not necessarily the language, but the ideas and the backdrops and the concepts. So it's more appealing to the people that you're talking to. So if you're out there giving a lecture or a presentation, you tailor it a bit to make it more appealing. And that's what I think the definition of a POC for the Venus Project is to translate the information to be most appropriate to their localized audience. Because originally this stuff is all in English, right? It does need to be translated, but it also needs to be translated culturally. And so those types of things need to be happening. And if somebody has something, I'll stop for a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want more guidance on kind of how to get access to TVP relevant information, or just generally talk to more people who've been down that path themselves, there are UK meetings which are open to anyone who speaks English, and they're on TeamSpeak. And basically, you can get involved with them if you just join the Facebook page, the UK Venus Project Facebook page. There'll be links for this, hopefully, on the website in this section, in the radio section now. So yeah, if you like and join that page, and then there will be notifications on when the next Hangouts are. They're weekly things, and you can just get in touch with people. I and Aidan will be there, certainly, and along with a lot of regulars, and feel free to ask questions during that session.
Yeah, just to add on to that, there's a few more links and other bits of information I'd like to share with people. So we have an email address, england@tvpactivism.com. That's moderated by a couple of POCs from England. And again, we can pass on all this information if you email us there. There's also a whole bunch of information about the Venus Project that is up on the website and various different places. So the website is thevenusproject.com. It's one of the best ways to at your own pace, learn about the Venus Project, and there's a lot of information on this website for us all to be going through. There's also an online community within thevenusproject.com, so sign up to that, and we have groups and things in there where you can ask people questions. There's also the Venus Project Global Facebook page, which is a great way to get updates and everything and show your support through Facebook. There's also Jacques Fresco tweets on the Twitter, and tvpmagazine.com, which is a magazine that comes out, I believe, monthly, has a load of educational and informational articles within there. And there's also the YouTube channels TVP Education and the Venus Project. Both of those are on YouTube and have just tons of information for us all to be getting on with. There's also a couple things that the Venus Project have, which are the book by Jacques Fresco called The Best That Money Can't Buy, another book called Future by Design, and there's another documentary called Paradise or Oblivion, with the plan of a new documentary to be released at the start of next year called The Choice Is Ours.
And by the way, 99% of all that is all free.
Yeah.
So, except for the book is for sale, and some more deep lectures of Jacques are also available on the website. But 99% of what he just said is all free, available 24/7. So take a look.
Yeah, I've been looking at all this stuff for about a year and a half now, and I haven't come close to seeing any, like all of it. Not even 50%. There's so much.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of people that have been around the Venus Project for a long while and haven't gotten all through it yet. But I would point maybe to just one very, very important location on the Venus Project page, which is very relevant to this last topic that we're talking about, is aims and proposals of the Venus Project. You know, this is something that is often missed as well by the very active people. You know, where you have some tangible goals as to the near and a little more distant future. You know, so there's a lot of answers already there, as a, you know, for questions like, you know, what is the plan and things like that.
Okay, that's good. I think that might be a good place to end.
Can I say a couple more things?
Yeah.
Because what I run into, like we talked about and covered it, and we want people to educate themselves, but one of the foundational things is comprehending and understanding human behavior or behaviorism in general. Because some of the people that might be listening or watching, they'll still... Hang on one second. Sorry about that. They'll still have hang-ups on human behavior and behaviorism, and saying that you know, we're talking about incentive. That's just one aspect of human behavior, you know. And people will say this can never happen because humans are this way, or humans are violent, or humans are antisocial, or they're incapable of collaborating correctly. And the thing is, that's an aspect with limited information and education. And there's so many resources on YouTube, Google, all kinds of places, specifically YouTube, for you to learn about much more about human behavior from people who have spent decades, 30, 40 years in these fields. And they're dealing with different things like behaviorism in social situations, behaviorism. They study, like James Gilligan studied for 30 some odd years, 20 or 30 years, criminals, and what created that criminal. And that's another aspect to resource-based economy and the Venus Project, is to comprehend why something happened, not to just label it and shuck it away, but to comprehend why something happened, why somebody became this criminal. Because the idea is that it's not inborn. There is no inborn trait for somebody to become a criminal. We do have limited inborn traits, such as, you know, surviving and flourishing and communicating with the mother or the parents or the the people as we're born, but everything else, nearly everything else, is due to our environment. So that's what I theorize is 70, 80, 90% our behavior is controlled by environment, and that's basically the argument of the Venus Project. And if it is controlled by environment, and if we are able to improve that environment, as we very well know we can through technology today, we could improve overall human behavior immensely.
Yeah, I'd like to add as well, having studied quite a lot on behaviorism, human behavior in general, like the general media or cultural consensus with regards to behavior is that it's black and white, you know, nature versus nurture, those kind of things. But if you want to look at one behavior exhibited in an animal and you want to try and find out why that behavior happened, it's a complex multicolored combination of both DNA, genes, environment, and conditioning. And you know, I mean, to say that humans are X, humans are greedy, humans are violent, is just, I mean, with a fundamental knowledge of how human or animal behavior works, that phrase seems absurd. And yeah, I'd urge anyone to kind of study these areas, because I personally find them fascinating, and I think it's fundamental. I mean, if you want to redesign society for humans, first of all, understanding what we're capable of seems to me to be, you know, paramount.
Just for somebody to make the statement that humans can't do this, or humans won't do this, or all humans do this, that is a clear demonstration that that individual is not educated in that area enough to speak about it. Because once you do just a minimal amount of study in it, you can understand that those types of connotations and those types of quick reaction labeling is nowhere near the accurate way to measure something.
Yep.
So we encourage people, everybody, not just individuals, but everybody, to become much more knowledgeable, especially on human behavior, because it is one of the foundational aspects of understanding the Venus Project or resource-based economy. Because if you have this thing in your mind where you don't think humans can coexist together due to whatever traits, then there's no way a concept of a resource-based economy will even become remotely acceptable to you. And the thing is, it's very clear that people can coexist if we remove the things that are basic necessities of life, being that they need to strive for every day. If that is provided for us, such similar to as when we were children, as Stefan Molyneux recently pointed out, then we won't have these competition needs, we won't have these argumentation needs, we won't have these scarcity needs, we won't have these warring needs that we have today. And when we remove most of those things, we will then have the time to focus on the other aspects that we might have issues with, that we don't have quick answers to.
Yeah, and I think it would be good to go into this, start off with a mechanistic point of view, and then an introduction to an analysis of human behavior and animal behavior in general in the next hourly slot we have on the radio, because I think that's quite fundamental. So yeah, look forward to that.
Great. So I think we're coming to the end of our time here. I think I'd like to wrap it up just by saying, so obviously as we just said, that education is a big part of what people can do right now and what you can do to get involved. And so a great thing to do will be to come along to our, join up with the Facebook group, the Venus Project United Kingdom. You can ask as many questions as you like. Come along to our Monday seminars. The best way that I have found to really understand these concepts is to talk about them with other people who understand them. And so if you come along to our sessions, we can try and answer your questions, anything like that, and it's just a great way to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Was last thing I wanted to say, and it was something one of you said earlier, and it was like, I know that I do not know. And for me, that is fundamental. That is, if I ever hear any human saying that, they've got me. Like, I like this person, I know this person is on a correct path, because I know, I don't even know how much I don't know, but I do know that I don't know a lot. And just by starting with that premise in your life, then I think you're starting yourself on a path of discovery, of exploration, of strong education. because there's this quote I heard before. I don't know where the source is, but it says, "Keep the company who seek truth, run from those who have found it." Now, the idea of truth is actually fucked up, but I still enjoy this quote, and that is that those people that run around and are unable to be changed, you know, they have this dogmatic mentality about whatever. Those people are, in a sense, dangerous because they could be educating others into this mentality. And there is no such thing as that mentality in any sense, in any human, in any case. Things are ever changing, and there is no one set mindset into anything. And so, if as long as we keep ourselves in a mindset of having an open mind and seeking information, not that we have found the answer, I think that's a healthy way to look at things. And if we can instill that in ourselves and instill that in others, then we are starting on a strong path of education.
I think that's a great note to finish it on.
Yep.
I'll say goodbye. I have been Aidan Fry from the UK PSC, the UK Group PSC.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everyone. And I'm trying to think of something not cliche to say, but tune in next week. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. That was great. Thanks. We'll see you.
Yeah, thanks everybody.